Today, let's get to listen to stories of triumph amidst failures, courage despite fear, strength through weakness, and even the occasional hopeful cheer from personal punny experiences. I am your host, RKaye, and this is the BetterU Podcast. What is up, fam? Welcome to today's episode of the BetterU Podcast. Coach RKaye here today. Now, we have been talking a lot about how to begin a fitness journey, or often what are the obstacles and the troubles that come our way initially during the times when we decide to finally tell ourselves that, okay, I need to change for the better. What are the different kinds of issues that come about? And we've discussed a few. Quite frankly, these are some of the common things that I myself, as a coach and a personal trainer, have been able to discuss with clients, whether they are new working with me, or if it's a client that's coming back and starting out from scratch. So again, guys, these are mainly issues that are a bit greater when you haven't really become too serious with your fitness journey. But I am not saying that us long timers, or old timers, I guess, I'm not saying that we do not experience this as well, but these are very common issues that many of us tend to get a little bit scared of, for the lack of term. I'll call it scared, but these are common factors that just let us decide maybe to not do anything about having to ensure that our health and our fitness get better. And I know I'm rambling here, but to get to the point, today's issue that I would like to discuss with all of you is probably one of the top issues that many people, including myself, have experienced. And I know for a fact that it is an issue, especially since we live in such a busy type of world these days. Everything is very fast-paced. Everything has to be done quick, and time pretty much it's such a valuable asset. But in terms of making time for better health and fitness, it's a little strange, a little strange. It's a little bit, how do we say it, ironic that many of us really value our time in terms of maybe work or studies or everything else in between. But when it comes to time that we need to really dedicate to taking care of ourselves through movement, through bettering our health, maybe consulting a doctor, or going to a personal trainer, or having to go see a counselor or a psychiatrist, these things often take a backseat for many of us. And today, I would like to put a few of my thoughts in, especially in terms of having time for fitness, having time to move, having time to stay physically active. As I mentioned, our world today is pretty fast-paced. everything is, we don't even go about things in minutes anymore. I think it's like in spur seconds. All right. I don't know the specific term for it, but often because of this fast-paced type of lifestyle, it's a lot more difficult, I believe, for people to really have time to go out to consult with a trainer and get themselves into the groove of going to the gym or working out at home. We still tend to tell ourselves that, we're very, I have a really busy schedule. I do not have any more time to exercise or to stay active or to go out with friends and maybe shoot some hoops. There is such a deliberate value for time, but quite frankly, it's not really, to me, I believe it's not really going to be an issue for any of us, including myself, to have time to train, because even that factor has been put into perspective, especially for us trainers. We do our best to adjust to what is current. And since what is current is fast-paced, a lot of programming these days don't necessarily even have to be a full hour. All right. So with that said, it seems that maybe through those types of programming, any of us, including myself, I always include myself because it is true, guys, even coaches, we have very tight schedules. And for a fact, if it is a priority for you to have the time to train, you will make time for it. And as I mentioned, to adjust to the changing times and to make up for the lack of time of a lot of very busy individuals. I think a lot of people are busy these days already. Many trainers opt for programs that are time-based. I will put it at that, as simple as it is. Time-based training is a very popular option for people who lack time or really experience very, very tight schedules in their day. And if you haven't given it a try, I will let you in on a very quick secret. Let's say that you have a particular program that you have currently, and let's put it into perspective that your program is a home-based or an anywhere-based type of program, meaning it only requires you to use a few small equipment. This is entirely not a gym-based program. All right, let me just give you that hint. But of course, we'll discuss it as well, how you can do it at the gym. All right, but for now, let's stick to home-based or anywhere type of programming where you will most likely not use any type of equipment. All right, if you have that type of program with you listed out, the best way you can do your program at a fraction of the time is, especially if your coach or if the program that you found on the internet, because I know A lot of you guys like those types of programs. If your program is given to you with a repetition range and a set, all right, what you can easily do and tweak on that program is, instead of sets for your specific exercises, what you'll do are rounds. So move from one exercise to the next. Let's say you have 5 exercises. Move from exercise 1 through 5 at one round and time yourself and start with possibly 20 seconds for each exercise. All right, so let's run it down. Exercise 1, I will have my timer, do it for 20 seconds. All right, switch to the next exercise. So exercise 2, after another 20 seconds, switch to exercise 3 until you reach exercise 5. Now you can opt to rest for a full minute after those 5 exercises, or you can opt to do a 20-second in between and then do another round of your exercises or your movements. All right, so these are just typical examples of how you can go about with your own training program and do it in a time-based scheme. Now, what is the solution to, or what is the answer to the solution or the problem rather that we all experience? I don't have time. I only have this much time. So if you say that you only have maybe an hour to spare in a day, at least if you do those exercises at a very limited time, so often time-based training takes around 15, 20, 30 minutes max. So you would have checked your day and your training complete in that day, even if you feel you don't really have time. All right, so that in itself is a very immediate solution that you can do when it comes to still having your training routine done in the day without having to spend so much time in the gym. But as I mentioned, there are also certain programming that can be done in the gym if you really do like having to hit the weights. You want your Olympic bar, you want your plates, your free weights, your machines. These types of timed programs can actually still be done in the gym. I attest to it. I sometimes do it if I am in such a tight schedule. You know, I'm really in a hurry. Most of the training programs that I try to do in the gym, I try to do it as quickly as I can. Oftentimes though, when it is a gym-based type of program that you want to shorten out, it will get shortened out just a little bit than your usual 1 hour. But I'm saying this because please remember that gym-based routines often do require you to lift a bit heavier. And when you do lift heavier, it takes a toll on your body and you do need to adjust and have a bit of rest periods in between. Now, if you're brave enough and a little silly enough, just like myself, you can actually go about it without having the rests in between. But practice this with caution and still adjust your rest periods if you really, really need it to. Now, I myself, let me give you an example as on how I do it myself at the gym. Let's say I do my usual squat, bench press, and deadlift routine. I will just select possibly a weight that is between 50 to 60% of my maximum. So that is enough for me to do enough volume work or a bit of repetition. A type of training that a lot of people who like lifting weights do is to do repetitions, a particular number of repetitions, time it in 1 minute, all right? And you do those particular repetitions within that minute. So let's say it's 10 repetitions for a squat, 10 repetitions for a bench press, and 10 repetitions for your deadlift. All right. You finish your 10 repetitions, let the 1 minute run, and then move on to your second set. Usually, what happens, and depending on the program that you have, let's say for me, I often result to a default of between 4 to 5 sets for each of my movements or my exercises. So again, you do the movement within that 1 minute, let that 1 minute lapse. So within that minute, let's say I do my 10 repetitions, and after maybe 45 seconds, I finish the 10 repetitions of my exercise. I still have 15 seconds to rest in between. So that's pretty much the sparring rest period that I have. All right. And again, guys, you can also tweak it a little. If you're brave enough, you can just maybe take a few breaths in and then continue with your sets. But again, I caution you on doing that at the gym, especially if you love your heavy weights. All right. But as I'm going through these types of tweaks in terms of timing your workouts instead of the usual reps and sets, this type of advice in terms of having time really are the most basic ways to adapt to a very busy schedule. Oftentimes, though, guys, when we go to the root of the entire issue, when someone comes in and tells us coaches that, I wanna work on myself, I want to improve my health, I want my fitness to go up, I don't want to deal with these many medications, I want to be able to play with my kids or my grandkids. How do I do that? And then, of course, when we try to explain to you guys that you need to invest your time, it suddenly becomes an issue that, oh, I'm too busy. I have so much on my plate. I do not have time for this. And if you take a look at that situation, or if you have been in that type of situation where you do tell yourself and try to convince yourself to go through a fitness routine right now, and then there are a flood of different issues and thoughts and worries that come up in your head, and ultimately the default excuse is, oh, I don't have time. Apparently I don't have time. And so what is it really that is the underlying situation here, guys? Is it really that we don't have time to train or to be physically active? Or is it because we worry so much that what we are going to get ourselves into is something that we've already done before? Is it something that you feel didn't work out the first time, and your thoughts and your memories bring you back to the time that you bought a gym membership and nothing happened. So think about it. If you are the type of person who always just goes through the motion and the loop and that cycle of telling yourself, I need to you start out, after a week, you give up because nothing happened. It's often something that obstructs our tendency to aim for a better goal for ourselves, guys. So today, let me just remind you that if it is time that you want within your day or the rest of the week, I believe that 24 hours in a day, you have 8 hours of sleep, sometimes not even, you have 9 to work or go to school, you have a couple of hours of commute or to drive, and that gives you quite a few hours still to do a few things that will really help out your health and your fitness. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be something that you do in the gym. It can be something that you really, really enjoy. It can be something that you get to do with friends, with family. And so just keep in mind that the next time you tell yourself, I do not have time, there are ways to get you that time. If you don't want to work with a personal trainer, that's fine. But do keep in mind that there are so many multitude of ways to get you to the goal that you want, to get you the results that you need. But first, you really just have to get your mind into it and tell yourself that the last time you thought that this was gonna work and it didn't, this time tell yourself that that last time doesn't count because that was not the time that you had your frame of mind serious enough to get work done. All right. You got to believe, guys. That's the first thing that you need to tell yourself. All right. If it didn't work last time, this time it will. Tell yourself that. And I assure you, all the other excuses, all the other issues that you have in your mind and in your heart will go away and leave you alone. All right. So, again, guys, I hope that with today's episode, today's show, you have been able to get a few tips, a few tricks that you can use yourself when it comes to your own fitness journey, starting out or restarting your journey. All right, guys. Thank you so much again for joining me today. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel. That really helps out a lot. Okay, so thank you again for taking the time off, for listening to me blabbering. All right, I have and do enjoy these solo episodes with you guys. I really like sharing a lot of the different experiences and the different stories and the different troubles that I have experienced myself and that a lot of my clients have experienced as well. I hope that a lot of the things that I get to say make sense to all of you. Okay, so that is it today, guys. Thank you again so much for joining me today. Coach RKaye here, reminding you always to never give up on your movement journey because it's never too late to move. Bye, guys. See you again soon.